Joining me in studio right now, the owner and operator of Ventura Web Design, by way of disclosure, the one who also developed my webpage, Kevin Richards. How you doing?
Good morning, Alan. Great to be here. Great to be back in studio.
Good to have you here. That's right. Last week was just a quick little phoner because of the other stuff we had going on.
It's not the same if I can't see you as I'm telling you about the tech news.
What a great thing. How lucky you are. All right, let's get into some of this stuff because a lot is happening, and I cannot believe the first thing that we're going to talk about. Uber is back in the news. What?
Well, Uber's always going to be in the news. So Uber is in the news now about adding a panic button to their app. So you're driving around, you've hailed an Uber, and you're in the car, and suddenly you feel threatened in some way by that driver. Now, if you're in Chicago, actually it'll be starting in a couple months. They'll be rolling out the app, the new button, but you'll be rolling around and you can push an SOS button, and that is supposedly going to alert the police that you have a problem in your Uber car. The real key here is, why on earth do they feel like they need that? So in Chicago, they've had...
I'll tell you why. But go ahead.
Well, in Chicago, they've had 2 drivers that were accused of sexually assaulting passengers in recent months. That's one of the reasons. They've had similar issues in India where they actually already implemented this button.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I'll tell you why. You wanted the reason. I mean, you say that's the circumstances that happen, but the reason for it, because they're not properly vetting the drivers. They're not being... the background checks and the licensing is not the same as cab drivers and as the drivers of limos. And they have said to me on this show, yes, we do. We do vet them, but we do so-and-so. But they don't vet them the same way, to the same depth, same degree. The cars, they don't vet the cars as well. When I say that, there are certain checks. We go through a 10-point check. 10-point. These other people go
right.
through like a 900-point check, and they have to have it done on a regular basis, and they have somebody coming around checking them.
That's true. I will say I have been in a less than stellar Uber car once, so that definitely happened. But Uber's interesting. Some people love it, some people hate it. The people I've introduced it to, they were really impressed at how quickly we were able to get a car there. The size of the vehicle was much better than the taxis that were sitting in the line. Uber has, its Better Business Bureau rating back in October of 2014 was actually graded as an F. Uber's position, though, their reply is, yeah, but look at how people rate taxi companies. I mean, your argument is that the taxi companies vet their drivers better. Quite possibly true. I don't know. Are the taxi drivers employees, or are they?
Yep.
Okay.
They're employees, and also you don't have any SOS buttons in a taxi. You don't need it. These people are checked out day in and day out, day in, day out. So are the automobiles or the vehicles that they're driving. Listen, I think the idea of Uber is great. My thought all along is they've got to learn how to vet the people and the vehicles the same way they do for limos and for taxis. If they do that, they'll operate on a competitive basis. If they don't do that, ain't going to never find themselves operating in Nevada.
Well, they better figure it out really fast because they've got a lot of competitors already. They've got Lyft, which is a direct competitor doing the exact same thing they do. And what's funny, again, you look at, is Uber a good company or not? They've been accused of sending their own employees over to get Lyft rides and hop in there and talk to the driver and say, hey, you should really be driving for Uber. And now Google, one of the biggest investors in Uber, is actually making moves towards having their own ride-hailing service.
Speaking of cars, by the way, 2 weeks ago we mentioned the possibility of Apple making a car. What is behind that? I mean, you're so good at something. Why try something else that maybe you have no expertise in?
Well, when you're so big and you have so much money, you got to keep growing also. That's the other side of the coin. The interesting thing about Apple is that their position, and again, this is all speculation at this point, Apple's never going to, release information officially until they've got something to talk about. But the interesting thing here is that cars, you think about your car right now, there's so much technology in that car. You think about how successful Tesla is being. I test drove a Tesla and checked it out, and there's just the entire dash is one gigantic iPad. The technology inside of cars. Here's the other problem. Apple really does want to get their technology inside of cars now. They're trying to work with BMW, Mercedes, Ford, everybody. They've got something called CarPlay. And the problem I think they're running into is just how how difficult it is to get these manufacturers to adopt their technology.
So develop your own car, put all your technology in.
There you go.
Now it's yours. I don't have to ask you to put anything in. That's it. We're just going to make it like it is. Take the technology, build the car around the technology. Kevin Richards, Tech News, joining me in studio. By the way, if you have any questions, you can always call 257-5396 and 702-257-KDWN, and we'll come on back with Kevin. Let's get back to some of these issues. We were talking about Apple a moment ago and making a car, but also they're getting involved in this whole thing about Apple Watch, and I have not seen one yet, but what's this? How's it doing?
So Apple Watch is coming out in a couple of months, and they'll be announcing it. Just you won't be able to miss it. Trust me on that. So the CEO, Tim Cook, is talking about Apple Watch, and his new thing he's saying is that it's going to help fight the new cancer. And he's, Apple's great at marketing. They're using buzzwords. They're getting everybody's attention. They're going to fight the new cancer. Well, what is the new cancer? The new cancer is that doctors believe that sitting too long is the new cancer. It's more deadly to sit around and do nothing than other diseases that are out there is the marketing that they're using. So one key wonderful feature of Apple Watch is that it'll give you a little tap 10 minutes before the hour if you haven't moved within that hour. So if you're sitting still for too long, it's going to give you a little tap on your wrist and get you up, get you moving around. CEO of Apple says he's seen his employees who are wearing it getting up 10 minutes before the hour, walking around, talking to other employees and just socializing and keeping themselves healthy by moving around.
Wow. I
don't know. I think it's kind of silly.
Do you really?
I think that marketing, I think that is really stretching it. He said this too in front of a technology and internet conference in front of Goldman Sachs. And I just feel, hey, they're great. They know what they're doing. They're smart guys over at Apple. But wow, that is not selling me on running out and buying an Apple Watch. I don't need to have a little tap and be reminded.
What about all the catching of information that you have on your phone, though, on a watch a la Dick Tracy?
I mean, and again, that's interesting too, because you keep your phone in your pocket. You don't want to take it in and out of your pocket, so you can view a little bit of your information on your wrist. Apple has a history of taking things that they didn't invent and making them significantly better. They watched Google. I'm not going to say fail with Google Glass. I'm going to say not be able to get the traction that they needed with Google Glass. Another funny thing is Apple just was awarded a patent for their very own virtual reality glasses that connect to the iPhone. So everybody's getting into all the same things. You've got all these companies trying to get into self-driving cars, several companies trying to get into, competing with Uber. Now we're all trying to wear glasses and other wearables. It's a very interesting time in technology because we just don't know where it's all going to end up. All right.
So Apple Watch might be big. I'm not going to get one right away. I mean, I'm just going to watch how other people deal with it. I haven't even downloaded my iOS 8, and iOS 9's coming out already. So I'll look at that kind of stuff before I even think about a watch. I've got a watch. I wear it anyway. And besides, they're going to be bugs at the beginning, I predict, and I want to see. I want to see.
True.
I want to see them get the bugs out.
No, it's true. And talking about Apple cars, can you imagine all the bugs there's going to be on that? I mean, are you going to have to download the update to your car, Alan?
You will have to do that.
Oh, absolutely. If it's going to be driven by software. The funny thing is a lot of people don't realize that your current cars actually operate on software. And if you take it into your dealership, if it's a newer car, they will actually sometimes download the update to solve certain problems about how your car operates.
Yes, absolutely. But you don't have the problems right now with your car, at least that you do have with computers when you update them.
Well, especially if we're not talking about self-driving cars yet. Imagine and that's also the rumor that Apple really is jumping over a regular car and going straight to the self-driving car.
All right.
That's going to be a lot of trust.
One other thing I want to mention, and I heard about this. I don't know if you've heard about it or not, but I found this to be bizarre. Facebook has announced that you can designate a loved one to keep your Facebook profile alive after you're gone. Isn't that, maybe I'm being weird, isn't that a tad creepy?
No, because I don't think it is. I think that Facebook, if you look at how I use it, I put a lot of photos of my kids and things that we're doing. It is the equivalent of the journal that you used to write at night to remember all the things you used to do. Facebook is and clearly you have to be careful what you post. It's not your private journal. Let's be clear on that. But I want my children to be able to go back 20 years from now and say, look at all those cool things we did with Dad. And that's what Facebook is about for me anyway. And the hope certainly is that Facebook will be there. It seems like they will be. You know, it's not going the way of MySpace, like we talked about a lot.
Well, then let me extrapolate. Why not? My parents are both gone. Why not just start Facebook pages for my parents and put up all their accomplishments and pictures and stuff like that?
Well, the difference is my Facebook profile is not up there for the sake of showing my kids how cool I think I am, but it is something that I'm putting together, you know, for them. So they can look at it and say, okay, Dad put that together and Dad took these pictures. So that's the experience that they're going to have when they're looking at it, not you going back now and putting up a page to memorialize them. You see the difference I'm trying to make there?
I see the difference. I find the whole thing a little strange, but you know, I'm getting used to this whole idea of Facebook. Anyway, I mean, I work Facebook. I do it all the time. Post and I get responses from people, and you know,
think of it like a picture album. You know, you've got picture albums sitting around at home. Facebook is the new equivalent. I mean, I got to be honest. I don't have any photo albums at the house. I have the ones my parents have given me, you know, when I was a baby. But that is literally it. So it's
are
all
your
digital.
parents on Facebook? Because your folks are live. Are they
Yep.
Facebook?
Yeah, they're on Facebook, and you know, I've set up my mom's so that I can memorialize hers.
Oh, really? Okay.
And so you know, that's what we're looking. And you know, my dad, he actually took some effort and went through and put some pictures and put some history that I didn't even know. So he's got his timeline, and it's there.
Oh, that's very, very cool. By the way, Kevin Richards, of course, who designed AlanStock.com, and you want to find out more about Kevin Richards or Ventura Web Design, easy. Go to AlanStock.com. On the right-hand side of the page, you're going to see a little logo that says Ventura Web Design. All you have to do is click onto that, and you can either get in touch with Kevin or any of the folks at Ventura Web Design or find out what they're all about. Again, AlanStock.com on the right-hand side of the page. Head on over and click on that icon for Ventura Web Design. Kevin Richards, the owner, CEO, and he'll be glad to help you out. That's great. Thank you very much for coming in. I appreciate it. Much better in studio than a call.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for having me. And everybody should be sure to like your fan page on Facebook, because I know for a fact that you actually respond to people on there.
I do. I have been doing that. That's right. And not always to the people's liking. They didn't really respond that way.
That's true.
But I do. I absolutely do. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate it. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate it.